Welcome to another episode of Questions Are Answers. And today we're going to be talking about if thinking is the root cause of all suffering, when do we take time to pause and reflect on life and when we're trying to make decisions when going about our days? And this is a question that confused me a lot when I first started to not think as I went about whatever I was doing in my life. And it's almost paradoxical in a sense, because how do you navigate life without thinking? What do we use? What mental faculty are we utilizing when we're trying to, just live our lives? And this question is so funny because most of the time we're not actually thinking about going about our life. We're thinking about probably like 0.01% of everything that's possibly going on in the world. For example, let's if you're driving and you're just on the highway or on the road, how many things are you actually thinking about when you're driving? Most of the time, you're not actually thinking about driving. You're thinking about something else that's going on in your mind. Yet your body already knows when to turn the steering wheel, when to put on the signal, when to dodge a car that's coming, or when to turn, or when to shift lanes. All of these things, there's thousands of micro movements that go into driving a car, yet you don't actually think about it. And going about your life can actually be the same way. It's not about going on autopilot though. It's being very, very intentional about what you're doing. In terms of driving, you set the intention of where you want to go, and then you get out of the way and let your body take care of the rest of the work. That's really what you want to do when you're entering a state of non-thinking. You start with a very specific intention of what you want to do, and then you let go of all thinking that gets in the way of it. For example, when you're driving the car and you put on the GPS and you set where you want to go, you're not arguing with the GPS along the whole way saying, no, I think this turn's better. No, we should take a detour here. No, like this road's better than the other one, or whatever it is. You just follow the GPS and you trust that it will take you there because you set that intention in the beginning and you know that if you follow it, you'll get to where you want to go. It may not necessarily be the exact roads that you thought you would take, but you end up getting at the end of the day to the same destination that you originally wanted. This is the same thing when we trust our own intuition. If you set the intention and trust that your intuition will guide you to helping you bring forth and manifest that intention that you originally had, things will go so much smoother. You'll have so much more peace, love, and joy in your life because you're not thinking about, should I have done this? Maybe this way is better. This other person told me that I should be doing this, and maybe what I'm doing right now is not the right thing. All of that is just unnecessary thinking that causes our own suffering. So what we want to do is exactly what I just said, which is setting that intention and then following your intuition. You don't have to think in order to know what to do. We all intuitively know what we need to be doing or what we should be doing. And once we remove all of the thinking and all of the imposter syndrome and back and forth and that constant chatter in our minds that keeps telling us that we can't do this or we're not good enough. Once we remove all of that, we always know what we need to do every single time. And if I ask you right now, what's the next step that you could take in your life right now? If you removed all fear and all external voices, all opinions, you probably know what it is. You're just afraid to do it. That's all it is at the end of the day. And what fear is just that chatter in the back of our minds. It's just thinking going on. But if you let go of that thinking, the fear dissipates with it. And that's the key. And when you're following your intuition, what you most need to do is usually what you most fear. And that's really the direction that you need to go in at the end of the day. Maybe it's going to the gym. Maybe it's going out to ask that person out. Maybe it's starting a new job. Maybe it's leaving the one that you have. Maybe it's starting art or whatever creative endeavor that you want. Whatever it is, you have that inkling inside of you. You have that intuitive knowing of what you want to do right now. And what is the highest form of self-expression. The truest form and the most authentic form of yourself, and what action you want to be taking currently. So tune into that voice and go where it's a little bit fearful. Because that's really our highest calling is almost like following that fear. But behind all fear is how I see fear is that it's the door to all of our hopes and dreams, all of the peace, love, and joy we could possibly experience. everything we could possibly want. It's the highest form of our self-expression that is behind that fear. And if we realize that fear is just a form of thinking, and that if we don't think, we don't feel fear, and if we let go of thinking, we no longer feel it, and that even if you do what you fear most, you will survive, and you take steps towards it, you'll start to feel alive. And that's kind of why adrenaline junkies like kind of go towards what they fear most, is because they feel most alive when they're doing the thing that they fear most. And you won't feel this fear forever. It's just usually it's the strongest when before we even start doing it. The greatest fear is always before you're even doing the action. And so if you realize that it's just a form of thinking and that you can get past that by realizing that you will survive, you will feel so much love, peace, and joy, and you'll feel alive instead of just surviving through life. And that's all we really want at the end of the day. So to recap, how do you navigate life without thinking? It's really setting the intention first and following your intuition. You always intuitively know what you need to do. The other thing I would say is, what's the difference between thinking and then sitting and pondering on just some of the pain and suffering that we are going through and processing it? Or even receiving downloads or new ideas. Like how do we not think and receive new ideas? It really depends on the state that you're in. So if you're open to receiving and you let go of thinking, you can really sit there and allow thoughts to come in. This is the difference between thoughts versus thinking. Thoughts will always pop into our minds. We can't really control that. But if we set the intention of what we want to create, and we sit there and allow thoughts to come in from a place that's far greater than our own minds, the universe, God, infinite intelligence, if you will, thoughts will always come in when you set that intention. If you want to try to solve a problem, if you want to make a decision, set that intention that you want to do that and just sit there and don't manually think about it, but allow just new thoughts, new inspiration, new ideas to come in. And a way that I love to do this is to ask a question. Whenever you ask a question, you always get an answer. And if you don't like the answer, let go of the thinking, because the thinking is what's causing you not to like the answer. Or you can ask a different question, but make sure that you're not thinking and that you're not using that thinking faculty to determine if something's good or bad. Our intuition always knows what to do. And when you're following unconditional love, again, unconditional love means that there's no conditions. There is no reason to do what you love other than because you love doing it so much. So those are some of the main points that you can follow when you're trying to work on non-thinking, trying to let go of thinking, and working on navigating your day and your life from this place of peace, love, and joy without thinking. I hope this helps you guys a lot. I love you all very much. And if you have any other questions, you can just message me on my website. And I hope to see you all very soon. Much love.